Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes a whole stack of sources and really boils them down to the most important, insightful, and honestly, sometimes surprising nuggets. We want to give you that shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. Today, we're diving into something that, well, it touches pretty much all of us. How do you create a home that really truly works for you? You know, a space that seriously slashes those energy bills that just keep climbing, maximizes your comfort, whatever the season, and does all that without putting a huge strain on the planet we all share. If you've ever found yourself, maybe late at night, scrolling through endless articles on sustainable living, feeling kind of overwhelmed by all the conflicting advice, or maybe the whole idea of an eco-friendly home just sounds a bit abstract, maybe even out of reach, well, then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're going to try and cut through the noise, skip the really heavy jargon, and focus on a concept that's gaining some serious momentum globally. Why? Because it's incredibly effective and offers some truly surprising benefits. We're talking about passive houses. And to help guide us through this sometimes intricate but actually very practical world, we're drawing heavily from a really foundational, fantastic resource. Passive House Made Simple: How to Build a Sustainable, Energy-Efficient, and Comfortable Home by Riley Carter. Our mission today is clear. We're not just going to define passive houses. We're going deep. We'll unpack the core principles that make them work, explore the very real benefits for you and your family, tackle that crucial question of accessibility, are they for everyone, and look at their impact in the real world, on real families and communities. Our promise. Not just information, but hopefully some surprising facts, practical things you can take away, maybe a few genuine aha moments that really demystify this whole concept. We want to give you tangible insights, maybe even a fresh perspective on what home can really mean. Okay, so let's unpack this. When most people first hear passive house, what comes to mind? Maybe something abstract, right? Like a futuristic building you only see in fancy magazines, or maybe a niche thing for engineers or, I don't know, hardcore environmentalists. It can feel pretty removed from the reality of, buying or building or just living in a home. But the truth, at its core, is actually much simpler and probably way more relatable than you might think. So what exactly are we talking about here?
That's a perfect place to start because, yeah, the common perception often misses the elegant simplicity behind it all. Really, at its heart, a passive house is just a home designed to work with nature, not constantly fight against it. Think about a typical home. What happens when it gets freezing cold outside?
Create the heat.
Exactly, you blast the heat, right. And it often struggles fighting drafts, heat escaping everywhere. And then in summer...
Air conditioning on full blast.
Yeah, the AC roars, battling the heat, pouring through the walls and windows. And all the while, energy is just leaking out through tiny gaps, inefficient materials, poorly sealed joints. It's like your wallet has these invisible holes, constantly letting money slip away. A passive house takes a totally different approach. It's almost revolutionary in its simplicity. It dramatically cuts down the need for that constant energy-guzzling mechanical heating and cooling by intelligently using the environment itself.
That sounds incredibly intuitive, almost like going back to basics in a way. I could definitely relate to that feeling of battling the weather inside my own house. Is this a brand new cutting-edge idea, or does it have, deeper roots?
It's a great question. And what's really fascinating is that while the modern passive house standard is definitely refined with, advanced materials and data-driven design, the actual core concept, not entirely new. In many ways, it draws on ancient wisdom, vernacular architecture from all over the world. Think about those thick stone walls in traditional Mediterranean homes.
Like in Italy or Greece.
Exactly. They weren't just for show or defense. They create thermal lag. They keep the intense summer heat out during the day and then slowly release any absorbed warmth back inside at night. Or think about old Scandinavian cabins, often built with really small windows, right? Strategically placed to hold on to every bit of warmth during those incredibly harsh winters. So modern passive houses take these brilliant, age-old ideas about responding to the climate, and then they sort of supercharge them. With today's building science, super efficient materials, precise design, the result is a home that's not just way more energy efficient, but also profoundly comfortable and healthier too. Imagine walking into your home on a freezing day and feeling this consistent, gentle warmth, not because the heater is blasting away,
Right.
but just because the house itself is naturally holding on to that warmth, creating the stable, cozy feeling. The temperature's steady, the air feels remarkably fresh, and those energy bills, just a tiny fraction of what you'd normally expect. For families, that's the real magic, that everyday experience, a home that feels like a quiet, constant haven.
That's incredibly powerful. It genuinely flips our whole understanding of comfort, doesn't it? We're so used to thinking comfort is something we have to force with machines, with energy. So if a passive house is designed to work with nature, what are the actual, the building blocks, the core principles that make this new way of living possible? What really defines a passive house?
You nailed it. There are 5 core principles. They're the foundation of every certified passive house. And what's really crucial is they don't work in isolation. Not at all. They're deeply interconnected. It's a holistic system where each part strengthens the others. These are super insulation, air tightness, thermal bridge-free design, heat recovery ventilation, and passive solar gain. So let's dive into super insulation first. This is absolutely key for minimizing heat transfer. Think of your home like a really high-performance thermos, not just, a regular mug.
Okay, yeah. Keeps hot stuff hot, cold stuff cold.
Exactly. A good thermos works regardless of the outside temperature, right? Super insulation does the same thing, but for your whole house. It creates this incredibly robust, continuous thermal envelope, wraps around the entire structure, walls, roof, floor. This thick, high-density insulation acts like a serious barrier. It keeps the valuable heat inside during winter and, just as importantly, keeps the scorching summer heat out. This massively reduces the energy you need just to stay comfortable. Makes the home incredibly efficient, comfortable all year round. Next up, airtightness. This is all about stopping unwanted air leaks rigorously. In most homes, even new ones, you've got tiny gaps everywhere. Around windows, doors, outlets, joints. They act like countless little energy leaks.
You don't even notice them usually.
Exactly. Your expensive heated or cooled air just escapes, and outside air sneaks in, bringing dust, pollen, humidity. A passive house ensures this unwanted leakage is basically eliminated. And just to be clear, this does not mean it feels stuffy. Not at all.
Right, that's a common worry, isn't it? Sealed up tight.
It is. But it just means all air movement is controlled, intentional. To check this, builders use a blower door test. They seal the house up temporarily, put a big fan in a doorway, and either pressurize or depressurize the house.
Ah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, fancy equipment measures exactly how much air is leaking and where. They can find even microscopic holes. It's like inflating a giant balloon your house and finding every single tiny pinhole. That level of precision. And the benefits aren't just energy savings. An airtight home is also remarkably quiet, blocks out a lot of outside noise, creates a really peaceful indoor space. The third principle is thermal bridge-free design. Think of thermal bridges as energy highways. They're weak spots in the insulation where heat can just bypass the main barrier.
Like a weak link in the chain.
Precisely. Imagine wearing a fantastic winter jacket, but it has like an uninsulated metal zipper right down the front.
You'd feel the cold right there.
Exactly. In a building, it could be a concrete slab sticking out, a steel beam without proper insulation around it, or even just a poorly designed join between a wall and a window frame. In a passive house, immense care is taken in the design phase, using continuous insulation, special details, everything to eliminate these bridges. This doesn't just stop energy loss, it also drastically cuts the risk of condensation forming inside where cold meets warm. And that means much less risk of mold, so healthier and more durable too. Then we get to heat recovery ventilation, or HRV. Now, airtightness is great for efficiency, but it raises that question. How do you get fresh air?
Yeah, without opening windows and losing all that heat or cool air.
Exactly. That's where HRV systems come in. A passive house needs to breathe, but in a very controlled, efficient way. HRV systems continuously and quietly exchange the stale indoor air with fresh, filtered outdoor air. But here's the clever part. They recover up to 90% of the heat from the outgoing air before it's exhausted.
Wow, 90%.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in winter, the incoming cold, fresh air gets warmed up by the outgoing warm, stale air. In summer, the incoming warm, fresh air gets cooled down by the outgoing cool, stale air. It maintains fantastic indoor air quality, no stuffiness, fewer allergens, manages humidity, gets rid of cooking smells, VOCs from furniture, all that stuff, while losing minimal energy. It's basically the lungs of the house, working silently. And finally, passive solar gain. This is about intelligently using the sun's free energy for heating and natural light, especially in winter. It means smart window placement, usually bigger windows on the south-facing side in the northern hemisphere to capture that low winter sun. But, and this is crucial, it's not about overheating in summer. You also need effective shading, like properly calculated roof overhangs or exterior blinds, even deciduous trees that lose their leaves in winter.
Ah, so they block the high summer sun but let the winter sun through. Clever.
Exactly. It keeps the house comfortable year-round without relying on AC. The sun becomes a free heater in winter and a pleasant light source all year.
That's fascinating. It really shows it's not just one thing, is it? It's a whole system. Meticulously designed parts working together. Air tightness makes insulation work better. No thermal bridges keeps heat in. HRV gives fresh air without waste. It's all connected. But here's where it gets, well, maybe a bit daunting for people. All this advanced design, meticulous building, it sounds expensive. So what does this really mean for your wallet? How do we think about the true cost?
That's absolutely the elephant in the room, isn't it? And it's a totally valid point. That initial sticker shock is real. Let's be upfront. Yes, the upfront cost to build a certified passive house is typically higher than building a standard home of similar size and quality. You're investing in things like high-performance insulation, often triple-pane windows, which are much better than standard double-pane, and that really meticulous, careful, airtight construction requires specialized skills.
And finding those builders can be tough and maybe cost more.
Exactly. Finding contractors who really get these principles, who have the training and experience, can be harder. And yes, they might charge a premium for that expertise. So that initial price tag can definitely feel steep. However, and this is the crucial shift in thinking, you have to reframe it. Don't see it as just an expense, like buying a car that depreciates. See it as a strategic, long-term investment. These homes are built to last, incredible durability. Materials and systems designed for decades. They drastically cut energy use, lower maintenance costs, and honestly, profoundly improve your quality of life. When you look at the life cycle cost, the total cost over the home's lifespan, including building, energy, maintenance, compared to a traditional home, that's when the financial benefits really shine through. Let's try and break down the math a bit. Passive houses are designed to use up to 90% less energy for heating and cooling compared to standard homes.
90%. That's
Yep.
huge.
It's genuinely revolutionary. Imagine taking 9 out of every $10 you currently spend on heating and cooling and just not spending them. That's the kind of financial shift we're talking about. It insulates you from those volatile energy markets. For a typical family, heating and cooling are often the biggest chunk of the utility bill, right? Hundreds of dollars a month in many places.
Easily, especially in very cold or very hot climates.
In a passive house, those costs could plummet to maybe just tens of dollars a month. Or if you add solar panels, maybe even zero. Sometimes you even produce more energy than you use. The money saved just on energy bills over, say, 7 to 10 years often starts to make up for that higher initial build cost, sometimes faster, depending on local energy prices. And it's not just the utility bills. Think about maintenance.
Right, less stuff breaking down.
Exactly. Simpler systems, more durable components. You don't have a big, complex HVAC system constantly cycling on and off, straining itself. So less wear and tear, fewer repairs, longer lifespan for the equipment. That adds up over the years, too. Plus, think about financial stability. Your home isn't constantly vulnerable to spikes in gas or electricity prices. You get this incredible predictability. Over a 30-year mortgage, the total savings from energy, maintenance, plus the added comfort and health benefits, it can be substantial, often way more than the initial price difference. And one more thing, resale value. There's a growing demand for sustainable, high-performance homes. Passive houses often hold their value better or even increase in value more than conventional homes. Makes them a smart, long-term asset.
That's such a vital reframing. It's not just about saving money month to month, though that's obviously huge. It's about building this kind of financial resilience, knowing your biggest household expense isn't tied to unpredictable energy markets. That peace of mind, that feels invaluable. Connecting this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You share a really personal, compelling story in your book about your own journey into passive house living.
Oh,
Could you tell us a bit about how you first encountered this idea? What was it like visiting one, and what was that transition like for your family?
Oh, absolutely. My journey into passive houses was, well, it was almost accidental, really, serendipitous. I was actually just looking for everyday ways to cut our family's energy bills. They were ridiculously high. Just a normal afternoon, Googling energy-saving tips,
I'm there.
Right. I wasn't looking to totally change our lives or build a new kind of house, but this term passive house kept popping up. It sounded so technical almost. Intimidating, like something from a glossy architecture magazine, totally detached from reality.
Like, nice idea, but not for me.
Exactly. My first thought was, that's amazing, but it's for someone else. Someone with a different budget, a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I couldn't shake it. The more I read, the more I realized these houses embodied so many things I actually valued. It wasn't just about saving energy in the abstract. It was about living smarter, more intentionally, working with nature, not against it. It promised a way of living that was incredibly comfortable, but also aligned with our goals for, health, financial stability, being responsible environmentally. Reading stories of real families thriving in these homes, homes that cost almost nothing to heat, that felt amazing inside, I started to wonder, could this actually be for us? The real turning point, though, was visiting one. Reading is one thing, right? Facts and figures. But stepping inside, experiencing it, that was a game changer. Feeling the comfort, the incredible quiet, the freshness of the air, it just clicked. It went from an intellectual idea to this deeply felt reality.
What was that like specifically? The feeling?
I remember visiting on a really hot summer day. Outside was sweltering.
Yeah.
Inside, perfectly cool, no AC running, just stable. Then I visited another one in deep winter, freezing outside. Inside, perfectly warm, no drafts anywhere. It wasn't just a house, it felt like a sanctuary. I shared all this with my husband, Mark, and our 2 kids. They got curious, too. Mark was initially, understandably, skeptical about the upfront cost. Big investment. But as we dug into the long-term numbers, the research, he started to see the logic. And the kids, they were just totally charmed by the idea of a super house that kept them cozy without noisy machines. Their excitement honestly gave me that final nudge. We decided to go for it, of course. The process itself definitely had its challenges. It wasn't a smooth ride from A to B.
Never is with buildings, right?
Exactly. First hurdle, finding the right team. Passive house building wasn't mainstream then, still isn't everywhere. Finding builders who really understood the principles, who had that meticulous precision. It was tough. I called so many contractors who'd barely heard of an HRV, let alone airtightness. But eventually, after tons of research, calls, invaluable tips from the passive house community online, we found a specialized builder. Great expertise, but yeah, it came with a higher price tag. The build itself was meticulous is the only word. The precision needed for airtightness, for example. You can't just approximate every joint, every seam, every corner sealed, tested. I remember the blower door test vividly, watching them check every tiny spot with smoke pencils, feeling for the slightest draft. It hammered home the sheer level of thought and effort involved.
Must have been stressful at times.
Oh, absolutely. Moments of doubt, plenty. Delays with materials, costs creeping up. You start questioning this huge decision when you're deep in the messy middle. But then there are these amazing moments. Seeing the thick super insulation go up, suddenly understanding how the walls would hold warmth, watching the HRV system hum to life for the first time. Those moments made it crystal clear. This was something extraordinary, a real commitment to a better way. The biggest discovery, though, wasn't about the structure. It was about how living in it changed my whole perspective. On homes, on energy. Before, I just accepted drafts, uneven temperatures, high bills. That was just normal.
Status quo?
Exactly. Stepping into our finished passive house, it felt like a new chapter. The first thing, the quiet.
You mentioned that.
It was profound. Unlike any house I'd ever lived in, no furnace kicking on, no AC drone, almost no outside noise traffic, neighbors, whatever. Just calm. The airtightness, the triple pane windows, an incredible acoustic shield, a cocoon of peace, and the temperature, that was the revelation. Still amazes me. No matter where you were, bedroom, basement, no matter the weather, outside blizzard, heat wave, the inside climate was just
steady.
Consistent.
No cold spots by the window.
Yeah, none. No drafts. No rooms too hot or too cold. We realized how much we'd unconsciously just adapted to discomfort before. Fiddling with blankets, thermostats. The HRV was subtler, but just as key. Quietly working, making the air feel perpetually fresh, clean, no stuffiness, no drafts from it, like breathing mountain air, but indoors. What felt novel at first, the silence, the steady temp, the fresh air, it just became our new normal. We stopped thinking passive house, it was just home. But every now and then I'd catch myself marveling, like when the energy bills basically vanished, or just the pure joy of sleeping soundly without being woken up by outside noise. It didn't just change our house, it changed our relationship with our home, fostered this deeper sense of well-being, calm, financial freedom. It was transformative.
That personal story really brings it all to life, way beyond the technical specs. It's one thing to talk principles, another to hear about the day-to-day reality. So moving beyond the principles in your own powerful journey, why do passive houses genuinely matter for us, for our families, for the world? What are the broader implications here?
That's the crucial big picture question, isn't it? And the answer has a few key layers. Fundamentally, they matter because they redefine how comfort meets conservation. They weave them together. The comfort isn't just a nice bonus, it's foundational. Truly consistent, stable temperatures, day in, day out, whatever's happening outside. That's huge. No more battling the elements indoors, no more adapting to drafts or hotspots, changing clothes room to room. You just exist in this optimal, comfortable space. It frees up so much mental and physical energy you didn't even realize you were spending. Then there's that uncanny quiet we talked about.
The cocoon effect.
Exactly. The thick insulation, the triple glazed windows, they buffer you from noise pollution, traffic, neighbors, barking dogs, even the hum of old heating systems. Mostly gone. That enables a more peaceful life. You can relax, focus, talk quietly, sleep deeper. Reducing that noise stress is a massive, often overlooked contributor to well being. And the air quality. The HRV brings in continuous, fresh, filtered air without the drafts of open windows, fewer allergens like pollen, dust, better humidity control, less mold risk, constant removal of indoor pollutants, VOCs from furniture, cooking fumes, pet dander. It creates a remarkably healthier indoor environment for everyone. Now, from a sustainability angle, energy efficiency is the core, using up to 90% less energy for heating cooling. That directly means a massive cut in greenhouse gas emissions.
Makes a real difference when buildings are such big energy users.
Absolutely. Residential buildings are huge contributors globally. So individual passive homes become active players in tackling climate change. Plus, many are designed to easily integrate renewables like solar panels. They often become net contributors to the grid. Your home actually produces more clean power than it uses. Imagine your meter spinning backward.
That's amazing.
And sustainability in a passive house isn't a chore. The systems work silently, efficiently, minimal input needed. It makes eco-friendly living just effortless, part of daily life. This also creates ripple effects. Families teach kids by example, fosters environmental awareness, inspires neighbors, friends, communities to look into it. But maybe most importantly, beyond the environment, passive houses promote healthier homes and healthier lives. That superior indoor air quality, it's a true game changer. Unlike typical homes where pollutants sneak in through leaks, mold spores, dust, exhaust fumes, radon sometimes, the passive house airtight seal and continuous HRV filtration mean the air you breathe is constantly filtered, exchanged, balanced. This is huge for kids, people with respiratory issues. Studies show fewer infections, fewer asthma attacks, better lung health overall. For everyone else, often means better energy levels, less brain fog from stale air, more mental clarity. There's also a psychological comfort knowing the air is clean. Less fatigue, fewer headaches, just a greater sense of well-being. And the design philosophy often encourages, sometimes even requires, using healthier, non-toxic building materials. Adds another layer of health benefit. I remember this anecdote from the book. An urban couple, maybe late 40s. They had this transformative health turnaround after moving into a passive house. Their old place, busy city, noisy, temperature swings, bad air. They had constant fatigue, headaches, poor sleep. Moved into their passive house, the silence, immediate sanctuary, the steady temperature, eliminated hot-cold stress, allowed deep restorative sleep, the filtered air from the HRV, reduced exposure to city pollution, allergens. Within weeks, they felt rejuvenated, energy levels they hadn't had in years, headaches gone, sleep quality massively improved. It's just a powerful example of how intelligent home design directly impacts physical and mental health.
That's incredibly compelling. The idea your home itself could be a source of health and calm, not just shelter. That really shifts things. Yet for many listening, the big question comes back, is this really for everyone? Or is it just a niche luxury for the wealthy? How do we make passive houses genuinely accessible to more people?
That's a critical point, and it's a misconception we absolutely have to tackle head on. Yes, there have been affordability challenges, availability issues, especially early on. Nascent industry, lack of awareness. But passive houses are becoming more accessible, thanks to innovation, growing demand, supportive policies. The promise isn't just for a select few, it's genuinely for everyone. One huge innovation making a difference is prefabricated and modular designs.
Building parts in a factory.
Exactly. Instead of building everything on site, exposed to weather, labor-intensive, highly insulated, airtight wall panels, floors, roofs are made in a controlled factory setting. This dramatically lowers costs, streamlines production, cuts waste, reduces on-site labor and build time. Components are made to precise specs, fewer errors, less rework. It makes passive house construction faster, more efficient, and more cost-effective. These aren't old-school prefabs, they're precision-engineered for performance. It's also crucial to remember, you don't always have to build new. Retrofitting existing homes is a powerful, increasingly popular option.
So you can upgrade an older house.
Definitely. A new build is the purest application, sure. But you can add or upgrade many, if not all, passive elements to an existing home. Better insulation walls, attic, foundation. Meticulously sealing air leaks. Replacing old windows with high-performance ones, adding an HRV system. These upgrades, done all at once or phased over time, can dramatically boost a home's performance, comfort, air quality without a full rebuild. And you can even apply many principles yourself, often on a surprisingly small budget, incrementally, like improving insulation. Adding more to your attic is often the simplest, most cost-effective start. Huge heat loss gain point. Fiberglass bat, blown-in cellulose readily available, often DIY-able, immediate impact,
Right.
easy win. For walls floors, maybe blown-in insulation professionally or rigid foam boards during a reno. Windows. Full triple pane is an investment, sure, but thermal curtains, blinds, even inexpensive plastic film kits for winter on single pane windows make a difference. Floor insulation in crawl spaces, basements, fiberglass bats, or even just thick rugs help. And maybe the easiest DIY, sealing air leaks. Weather stripping, caulking around windows, doors, outlets, visible gaps. Super cheap, easy to apply. Stops drafts, saves energy immediately. For optimizing ventilation, again, sealing those uncontrolled leaks is step one. Then, good quality exhaust fans in kitchens, bathrooms essential for moisture, odors, pollutants. And HRV or ERV is a bigger investment, yes, but it's the long-term fix for continuous fresh air without energy waste. Increasingly seen as worth it for health. You can also use passive ventilation smartly, strategic window vent placement to use natural airflow. Low cost, effective if done right, and for immediate air quality boosts. Good air purifiers or better filters in your existing HVAC.
That's really helpful. It shows
Yeah.
you don't need to do everything at once. You can make real progress step by step. But for bigger projects, retrofits, or new builds,
Hmm.
what about the financial side? Are there specific resources, incentives, special loans to help with that initial investment?
Absolutely. The financial landscape is shifting, getting more supportive. Many governments now offer tax incentives and grants specifically for energy efficiency. They recognize the long-term benefits. In Europe, places like Germany have had robust grants for years. In the US, you might find federal tax credits for solar, specific appliances, efficient HVAC. Worth checking local, state, and national government sites for current programs. They can really help bridge that cost gap. For financing, look for green loans or energy-efficient mortgages. IMs? Yeah, they let you roll the cost of energy upgrades into your mortgage, often at better rates, reduces the immediate hit. EMs are great for new buyers or refinancing. The lender recognizes the home will have lower operating costs, so they might approve a slightly higher loan because the total monthly housing cost, mortgage plus utilities stays manageable. Some lenders even partner with energy assessors. Finding the right builders, consultants, experts is also key for bigger projects. You need people with proven passive house experience. Professional directories from organizations like the Passive House Institute, PHI, or PHIUS in the US are invaluable. They list certified pros.
Good place to start.
Definitely. Also, check local green building councils, sustainability groups. They often have workshops, networking events, referrals. A good passive house consultant can be your best friend, helping with assessments, design, finding suppliers. And finally, there's a ton of tools, guides, and resources now. PHI and PHIUS offer detailed technical guides, manuals, online docs, deep knowledge there. There's energy modeling software like PHPP or WUFI. Passive professionals use these to simulate energy use and optimize design before building. Ensures predictable performance. Plus, workshops, online courses, product directories, listing vetted materials. And don't forget online forums and communities, Passive House Accelerator, Reddit groups. People share advice, support each other. It's a very collaborative space.
It's great to know those resources are growing. Fantastic news.